For the past 11 years, through God's amazing grace and power, CTRIM Church has been participating in God's Great Commission by making disciples who will make disciples. The church has been equipping people with various training, mentoring, conferences, and campaigns, as well as cultivating the mindset of God dependence and lifting everything in prayer onto Him. How did it all start? In 2011, Pastor Deo and Pastor Ingrid Valdez spent 9 months in the Philippines, during which they trained and soaked in the vision of winning souls and making disciples of all the nations. Then God gave Pastor Deo a vision to start a new kind of church, a radical discipleship church, producing extreme disciples that can change and turn the world upside down. In 2012, with the help of prayer and fasting, Christ the Redeemer International Ministries was born. It all started with 15 people in Belfast. 7 were committed and 4 were loyal. In unity, Pastor Deo and Pastor Ingrid, with the first leaders of CTRIM Church, applied the discipleship strategy from the Philippines to here in Northern Ireland. However, there were a lot of struggles, difficulties, and resistance due to the culture differences. Commitment and submission to the vision requires a lot of work and discipline, but most people find this difficult to follow and are often put off due to the busyness of life. But God said to persevere and adapt. The vision was loud and clear, and so they never gave up and continued. Through the grace of God, Pastor Deo and Pastor Ingrid were able to redesign the process to be more relevant, and gradually, within 2 years, the church started adjusting to the new process and environment and grew from there. It wasn't easy, but God continued to sustain and empower everyone. In the 3rd year, armor bearers and reliable disciples started to rise up in the church. The atmosphere and the culture began to change. The church saw an increase in momentum and focus. Pastor Deo continued to improve the process, contextualizing it to the UK setting and innovating new strategies with the goal of making it clear and simple for everyone to understand. Then something happened. God began to move in a mighty way, and many people were saved and transformed. As this happened, Pastor Deo and Pastor Ingrid kept on equipping and developing the leaders, with training and empowerment being their primary focus to produce even more. Through focusing on the process of discipleship, they saw the rise of reliable disciples. In the 4th year, disciples and care groups started to multiply. Pastor Deo and Pastor Ingrid continued to equip reliable and unstoppable disciples who were willing to sacrifice and pay the high price. In the 5th year, the church started the 4XD Acts DNA Strategic Discipleship, and at the same time, various care groups were opened in Belfast City, Portadown, Carrickfergus, and among the neighbouring towns. Unfortunately, it was not always easy and trouble-free, as there was the emergence of false accusations and defamations made against the church, some of which even from fellow Christians under the deception of the enemy. However, by the grace of God, the church continued and was unstoppable. By the 6th year, we continued to improve the strategy and focus on the apostolic framework of Ephesians 4:11-12. We conquered new territories, opened new care groups in Ballymena, Bangor, Larne, Derry, Londonderry, Castlereagh, Enniskillen, Lurgan, Newry, and many more. We also began the vision of multiplication and planted 2 churches in North Coast and Portadown. By the grace of God, we produced and installed 4 pastors on April 28th and May 26th of 2019. They are Pastor James and Pastora Nilene Bakay and Pastor Edison and Pastora Raisa Sandoval. The flywheel of Kingdom Revolution continued to move and gain momentum. It was the beginning of a movement that will never stop, and though the devil tried in many ways, by the grace of God, we continued. In our 8th year, the church continued to grow and multiply. On February 23rd, 2020, we opened a new outreach in Larne through the leadership of Brother Ray and Sister Leslie Salazar. The following months saw the emergence of a global pandemic from the rise of COVID-19. Social restrictions were enforced, which isolated everyone from each other. However, as a testament of God's grace, it did not stop the church. The lockdown proved that the church is not a building, but the church is the people. God was able to break down walls and borders, all by His unstoppable grace. Our Sunday service, activities, and even our care groups were all online, something we have never done before. On May 17th, 2020, CTRIM Derry Londonderry was open online through the leadership of Pastor James and Pastor Nilene Bakay. We were able to win more people for God, made new friends and prayer partners. We also connected to people all over the globe, especially in the nations of the Philippines, India, Africa, USA, Canada. Mark 16:15, and then He told them, "Go into all the world and preach the good news to everyone." Through the love and generosity of the church, we were able to pray and support our spiritual frontliners here and abroad. On April 4th, 2022, we opened a new outreach in Bangor through the leadership of Brother Anthony and Sister Cheryl Gagarin. By God's grace, we also opened a new outreach in Lisbon City on June 21st, 2022, through the leadership of Sister Jean Estrella. We held the first service in our outreach in Oma on December 11th of 2022 under the leadership of Brother Reagan and Sister Cristina Decina. And on January 28th of 2023, we opened a new outreach in Dungannon through the leadership of Pastor Boyet and Pastor Michelle Buduan. On March 12th, 2023, we held our first service in our Balamina outreach through the leadership of Pastora Dandan Zalata. And this coming April 7th of 2023, we will be having our first 4XD Breakthrough Weekend in Madrid, Spain. As we look back, we continually praise and thank God above all for what He did over the last 11 years. With great faith and anticipation upon our hearts, we look forward to the greater things that He will do in the years that lie ahead. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank our reliable disciples behind the success and victory of His church in every season. To our CTRIM pastors, Pastor Edison and Pastora Raisa Sandoval, and Pastor James and Pastora Niline Bakai. To our church planters, Brother Ray and Sister Leslie Salazar, Brother Anthony and Sister Cheryl Gagarin, Sister Jean Esther Rea, Brother Reagan and Sister Cristina Decina, Pastor Boyet and Pastora Michelle Buduan, Pastora Dandan Zalata, and a big thank you to our more than 50 care group leaders in Belfast, North Coast, Derry, Londonderry, and Portadown, to our department leaders, teachers, and reliable disciples. The whole CTRIM Church family, we thank you for your undying commitment to advance the Lord's kingdom. To our senior pastors, Pastor Deo and Pastora Ingrid Valdez, we greatly appreciate and thank you for your tireless service and dedication to God and His people. And we also thank our mentors, Pastor Al and Pastora Saitis Termulo, Pastor Rolando and Ate Billy Padolina. We thank Bishop Chito and Pastora Rachel Sanchez and Pastora Karen Perez for their love, prayers, and support throughout the years. We are unshakable, unhindered, unstoppable. We are the Church of God. Increase is coming, so enlarge your tent and add extensions to your dwelling. Hold nothing back, make the tent ropes longer and the pegs stronger. You will increase and spread out in every direction. Your sons and daughters will conquer nations and revitalize desolate cities. We are ready to win and disciple the multitudes, enlarge, expand, and hold nothing back. 2023 is the year of abundant harvest, and we will continue to occupy and multiply until Jesus Christ returns. To God be all the glory, adoration, and thanksgiving for the 11 years and beyond of Christ the Redeemer International Ministries.